You had a
Check,
theme
check, one,
song?
two. There we are. No, there's not a theme song. There's just an intro where
No.
like a song is playing.
Okay, all right.
Welcome everybody on the Hohner YouTube channel. This is Hohner Live episode 56. We're back after some time. We didn't do a challenge last month, but there's some great stuff coming up. Some fantastic guests. Maybe this is a future judge here. And I'm very much looking forward to today. Please welcome Tollak Ollestad. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thanks, Konstantin. I'm very happy to be here.
It's fantastic to see you again. Because
it's been
like
a while.
the crazy thing is that I suppose that the first time we met was actually in Hamburg, where I am right now.
Yeah.
Where we both recorded our Masters
Yes.
of the Harmonica albums.
That's right. That's right.
I'm not sure if they are still available, these boxes with harmonicas in them.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I still have a few of them,
Yeah.
and I think what I've seen mine at least like on. I think it's still like on Amazon and a couple of places like that. But I mean, it's just the kind of thing like, yeah, it's a very boutique kind of item that someone would want.
Definitely, yeah. But I
Yeah.
remember like I was going to the Pear Music publisher, saying hello,
All right.
playing some harmonica,
Yes. Yes.
because we both recorded our first. It was my first album, at least. Albums at the Pear Music Studios here in Hamburg.
That was that studio that had like the B3 in it and a Rhodes and all that stuff. Is it that studio?
Yeah,
It's the
I
one
guess
that
so.
does the one I remember recording at. Doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it was that place. That was a cool studio because they just had all this great stuff and like some really great old 50s mics even and stuff like that. It was like, yeah, I had such a great time playing there, and there's some great musicians that Emu brought in.
Yeah,
It's Emmanuel Franzel, who is the guy who produced
true.
yours and my CD. Yeah, he's such an amazing guy. Yeah,
And
it was really cool.
back then, that was such a great time. Exactly. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I remember like I rented some apartment like close to it, and I always like rode my bike to the studio, and the weather was amazing. And like,
Right. You were like what, 16 or what was it? Something like
around
that.
that
Or I
age,
don't
like
know.
2012.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh God, you were really young.
And
Good
that was
God.
also like, I think it played a role in me like becoming a fan of Hamburg and wanting to move here.
Yeah, I can imagine. Because it was for me a real education to go there because for one thing, I didn't realize it was the second biggest city in Germany. For some reason, I just had this idea of like, oh, the Beatles played in Hamburg. And I thought it was like, oh, it's this town they played in. It's like, no, it's this very huge, but also very cosmopolitan city. That's what's interesting about it in
Yeah.
Germany, I guess. Yeah, Berlin is also, but yeah, it has its own thing. And yeah, I really enjoyed my time over there a lot.
And what's the last time you've been to Hamburg?
Well, yeah, it was, you know what it was? It was with this band I had called Reckless Jones. No, well, that was that was another town that was towards the sea from Hamburg, but we did go through it. And that Emmanuel, he booked this gig, and that was about 5 years ago, I think, something like that.
Okay.
I would say it's 2000. No, it was probably about 2017. That's what I would say. Yeah, 2017. So it's about 4 years ago.
Yeah. And then we even shared the stage at the World Harmonica Festival in 2013.
I was thinking about that. I'm trying to remember how that even came about. That I played keyboards in your band.
Yeah,
I thought that
because
was
like
kind of funny.
my pianist did play another gig or something.
Or I thought either that or was like I was thinking it was the twilight of my career, and I'm going to hitch my star to this young upcoming guy, man. No, but I
There's a
remember it was
video of
great.
that online on YouTube.
It was
still.
great because you had the bass player and drummer were really great young players, and it was just I remember that was just really fun. I really enjoyed doing that. We just had such a great vibe. Yeah, it was just a really enjoyable thing, and yeah, it was great. It was great to watch you get out there and really, as you're just starting to really develop your whole thing, and just you could already hear that where you were going with it, and of course you've gone some incredible places with it already. So really cool.
getting
Good
harder
memories.
to get better.
Yeah, man. That's the whole thing, right?
But right now, you're in Groningen in the Netherlands.
I am in Groningen. You got to put the in there, man.
Ja, Groningen. Ik praat een beetje Nederlands. Ik heb Nederlands 2 jaar op school geleerd. Dus.
Oh, echt waar? Oh, ik wist dat niet. Okay, that is heel mooi. Well, in the south of the Netherlands is where they say Groningen,
Oh
but up
yeah.
here they say yeah, because they what they say the zacht g is zacht j instead of g. So here you say Groningen.
Yeah.
I live in Groningen. Okay, anyway,
So
moving on.
before that, you've lived in like, many different places. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey to the
All right.
Netherlands?
Yeah, let's just let me see if I can do a little kind of cliff notes, uh, a little recap. So I was born in Alaska, and then when I was about three, I was 3 years old. We moved to Seattle. So Seattle is really, Alaska's my birthplace, and I've spent a lot of time up there. But I grew up in Seattle. That's really my hometown. And then I moved in my mid-20s to Los Angeles with a very very good buddy of mine, a musician named John Sampson, and we moved down to LA together, literally with like had no idea what we were going to do. It's that kind of the story of my life. This is really the story of my life. It's just like, wow, that sounds cool. Let's go do it, and have no idea, no plan. Didn't lay the groundwork for anything, but it was also a great time to go do that. It was in the '80s, and we went down and just and starved for like about a year, and then eventually started doing some more work. And it really was, I mean, what they call paying your dues, and that was kind of the old school way of getting into music. Is that, generally speaking, if you move to a place like LA, it's going to take some years before you kind of work into the scene.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, that was kind of in the '90s, like the beginning of the '90s, that things started to click, and then suddenly I found myself. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of surreal, actually, because it was just like, standing next to people that I used to, listen to on my record player. And it's like, oh, man, I'm standing next to them now, and I'm making music with them. So that was an amazing experience. And yeah, thankful for it.
Yeah.
So, and then, then to carry on from that, then eventually I moved to the Netherlands. I was playing here with a band called Venice that has a huge following from Los Angeles. And I was over here playing tour with them, and I met a Dutch woman. And so I said, well, that seems like a good sign from somewhere, the universe saying, hey, why don't you move over here? Because I actually, at that point, I was really tired of living in LA.
Okay.
Personally, and in my opinion, it's not I don't, I know I have friends that still love living there. I never loved living there. And toward the end, I was really like, okay, I want to live somewhere where it's just a more chill, and which is Groningen, of course. So I just said, just make the leap. And then since moving here, what was great was that, because I'm really almost completely self-taught as a musician, also as a keyboard player, singer, harmonica player. I got an opportunity to teach at this school called the Academy for Pop Culture, the Academy for Pop Culture. And I didn't, I thought, well, I didn't even go to school. How am I going to be a teacher? And but I really discovered from the very beginning of that opportunity that came for me, that I realized this is part of my life work, is also to teach. And from there, I think that I made a TED talk as well, and that is a big part of my life now, is kind of like trying to explore more just what it is to play music at the deepest level, and what it is to learn it at the deepest level. And that's like a self-study for me, and that's what I've tried to share as I'm learning more about it myself.
Yeah. And for everyone out there, like, you're not only a harmonica player, you play so many other instruments. Do you actually teach harmonica? Do you have like harmonica students right now?
I don't have a like a set up harmonica instruction practice. It's actually it's not something I've ever. In general, I don't have a music instruction practice in terms of like something regular. Only because it's just, for me, I from week to week, to have like something where it's like, okay, we're going to have a lesson. It's like, it's just too, it's not that I couldn't schedule it that way, but I'm just creatively in my own kind of like rhythm where I'm like always creating my own stuff. And to have, I just never wanted to have a thing like that. And also because for me, every lesson is very, very like particular to that person.
Yeah.
And because I have friends that have like, yeah, I have my like 30 students that I have every week. And it's like, I go, well, so how do you tailor the lessons? They go, well, we don't. It's like, you can't, it's just like, you just have to have a standard program. I go, well, I can't teach that way. For me, every student, it's like, who are you? What do you need? What is your thing? It's like that for me is the whole exploration. So then I have to have less students that I do that with.
True.
I did have I had a harmonica major in this Artes conservatory down in Swola that I did actually teach him. Yeah, I taught him for a few years, but it was more. Yeah, I think we normally would do like every 3 weeks, and that worked great. And he was great. I loved teaching him. He was just he was like the perfect student that you want to have, who's just like quick, gets everything, and comes up with their own really interesting stuff. It's Hervin Shank. He might be listening, so just a shout out to you, dude.
Yeah.
Great to teach you, and amazing experience to do that. So yeah, I do. I mean, I'm definitely doing it, but just on a kind of case by case basis,
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, who knows if there are going to be like many more or new upcoming harmonica players actually studying at a music school.
Yeah, I mean, that was what happened there was that he came to that school and he said, yeah, I want to major in harmonica. And they were like, well, we don't have a harmonica docent at the school. And yeah, someone there knew who I was and said, well, yeah, why don't you call Tollak and see if he would be up for it? And I said, yeah, sure, let's try it out. So yeah, but yeah, having an actual harmonica teacher at a conservatory, yeah, it's difficult because it's such a niche instrument, there's just never going to be. It's not like guitar where there's just armies of guitar players. It's like, yeah, it's a very sporadically, practiced instrument or, that people want to take up.
Yeah, every music school's just going to be like, oh yeah, like 5 years ago, somebody called and asked us about harmonica lessons. Like,
yeah, exactly. They're like, play a real instrument.
Raymond is tuning in from Riga. He's a great chromatic player. We met at the Harmonica Festival in Estonia.
What's his name?
Raymond. How do I pronounce the last name? Markat.
Oh yeah, I know Raymond. Yeah, he's in my my friend group. Yeah. So I know his name too. Yeah. Oh, cool. Shout out to Raymond.
So everyone in the chat, if you have any questions for Tollak, just write them down. We're gonna answer everything, at least music and harmonica related.
Yeah, if it's the meaning of life, I'll take a shot at it. I'll take a shot at the meaning of life, but I can't guarantee I'm going to give you the satisfying answer.
I actually in the future, I would love to move to the Netherlands at least for a year or something. Just to refresh my Dutch. And
just for your Dutch, but I mean, is there a musical angle to it or no?
Oh, I started to produce for some Dutch artists this year. I'm actually working with a rapper from Groningen.
No way.
Yeah.
What's their name? What's the rapper's name?
His name is Toonzy.
Toonzy. I think I've seen his name on something. Yeah, just something passing. Yeah, because I mean it's not such a big town.
We just got a new song ready. We just approved the master for the upcoming single today.
Really nice. And so you're you're a rap producer?
Yeah, it's like whatever hip hop reggaeton kind of song.
Really? And is your harmonica gonna show up or
no?
No harmonicas allowed. It's
but more and more, it features some two other amazing Nigerian singers and songwriters.
Okay. Wow. Cool.
There's a lot more stuff coming up with them, like Afrobeat.
Yeah, nice. Super, man.
But yeah, of course, less harmonica. Sometimes, though.
You should make bumper stickers. Less harmonica.
Because like, of course, you don't want to like force harmonica into every song, right?
No,
So
actually, but that's the thing. I've always, that's been always kind of like a pet peeve of, I know a lot of musicians I know who play with harmonica players. They'll say that, and it's, so yeah, maybe this is kind of even a little tip I'll put out there. It's like, a lot of times harmonica players, that's the only thing they play. So, I mean, it's been, for me, playing other instruments, being, and working in bands as a keyboard player, singer, very often, just being aware of like, okay, if you're playing harmonica, if you are the harmonica player, leave space, even though it's like, it's because it's your one thing you got to do. And a lot of times it's just like, they feel like, I gotta like do something.
yeah,
It's like, no, you don't always have to do something. And it's like, and just, learn to leave space. Cause a lot of times harmonica players, if there's one mistake, I think I hear more often than not, it's that you're playing too much. It's like, don't try to put a fill in all the time. I mean, like, pick your spots and, pick the right moments to do it. And I think in a lot of ways, that's why there are all the jokes about harmonica players.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh
definitely.
yeah, harmonica player, great. Yeah, cool.
But like comparing that to your most recent adventures on TV, I mean,
Oh yeah.
if you're tuning in from the Netherlands, you probably saw Tollak on TV, reaching the finals of The Voice Holland, which was
Yeah,
fantastic.
The Voice
And
Senior. Yeah.
probably a great experience with a lot of harmonica playing too.
Yes, that was. Yeah, that was. So yeah, I kind of I told the story on my Facebook post about it, especially when I first posted about it that it was coming on.
Yeah,
That they called me to they asked me if I wanted to come down and join in, and I told them, actually my first reaction was that I don't like those shows. I
yeah.
don't like voice competition shows,
Where did
which is
they
true. And
record the
actually, it's
shows?
basically still true. But it was, sorry?
Where did they record the shows?
Hilversum is very close to
Okay.
Amsterdam, and it's the media center. It's where they basically, I think they do all the television shows are done in like this. It's a big complex of studios. It's kind of their Hollywood, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went down there. So I went down there on this kind of introduction. I said, the woman who called me, her name was Frances, and she was really a sweetheart. And I got to know her better later. And the whole team were just such super nice people. And she basically talked me into, she said, just come down. And if you don't like it, then you can just say, I'm out. And it's like, all right. Well, it
Yeah.
was the beginning of April. And in the beginning of April, especially, last spring, there was really literally almost nothing going on. I was doing some recording sessions at home and, some teaching and whatever. So yeah, you know what? Okay, I'm going to go down and check it out. And it was right away just a very relaxed atmosphere, and I felt very comfortable. And there wasn't any, because TV studios can sometimes be weird places, and there's like a weird kind of pecking order thing going on. But everyone was very relaxed. And then we did the thing where I sang a few songs, and they had the musical director playing piano, and then one of the producers actually said, do you know any Doobie Brothers? And so I was like, well, that's kind of funny, because I toured with, one of, probably the most famous lead singer of the Doobie Brothers was Michael McDonald. And I said, I toured in his band for 5 years.
Yeah.
And so they were like, oh, great. So then the musical director started playing Doobie Brothers songs. And then he played him this song that's not a Doobie Brothers song. It's a Michael McDonald song from his solo career. It's called Yeah, I'll Be There. And so he starts playing that. And I hadn't sung it since like, the end of the 90s. So I was like, oh, well, shit. Okay, let me see. And it was funny because the words all came back, and it was like, I remembered again how much I love singing that with Mike, especially. But that it was just always a fun song to sing. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And they were all very happy about it. They said, well, this should be good. And then it was like, well, how about if you play we know you're doing the harmonica, so why don't you play the harmonica on that? And so I went, okay, well, let's just try it. And then from that point on, they just said, well, I think it's great that you play harmonica on everything you sing. And I said, yeah, well, I like to do that. And, it was funny because
Which is
my
awesome
coach,
because like usually, or maybe like other TV shows would be like, we got to cut out all the harmonica playing.
right, yeah, exactly. Less harmonica. Can we have less harmonica? No, they were no, they were happy about that. But and also my coach Gerard Yoling, um, he it was nice. He a couple times made a big deal about how like man, how can you be soloing and then go right to singing and it's yeah, I mean it's nice to say that that he was complimenting me about that, but it's just like well, but I've been doing that since I was a teenager. That's why. I mean, it's just like anything you do over and over again. It's like, yeah, it's just natural to me to be playing harmonica solo and like a split second later be singing. It's like, yeah, I don't, it doesn't feel weird to me. And it's not really, I don't think it's like this amazing skill. It's just a thing I just kept doing over and over. So I think, yeah, most things are like that, in general, really, whatever you consider a great skill of yours, it's just something you did a lot,
Yeah.
you know, and that's really what it is. Not that it's not a great skill, but it's like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't something that I didn't consciously think, man, I'm going to learn how to like play and then sing really fast. It was just like, no, there was a solo and then, and a lot of songs like, yeah, the next vocal line is coming right away. It was just like, yeah, well, you just have to do that if you're going to do both. And I think, yes, for a lot of harmonica player singers, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And great song choice. I think like all the performances are on YouTube. Like,
yeah,
everyone out
there's
there, you can check them out.
4 different songs. Yeah, there's 4 different songs from it. Yeah, if you just well, the thing is that in the Netherlands, you can look at it at RTL.nl or Gids.tv, but outside of the Netherlands, it's on YouTube. But like at least the link I always give out is from this guy I know in Paris, Jean-Luc, who posts it every time from France. I don't know why France has an advanced copy of it,
because I wish I could have like watched the finale on TV, like. But
yeah, but could you watch those videos in Germany? Were
the
you
YouTube videos? Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because yeah, someone else told me, Jens, the engineer from the recordings we did in Hamburg. I thought he said that he couldn't watch them. I wasn't sure if it was him. Somebody did.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. But anyway, well, that's good. I'm glad to hear. In general, it was viewable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great
fantastic.
experience.
With like millions of viewers on TV.
Yeah. Well, it was yeah. Yeah, that was cool. But I mean, it was what was remarkable about it was that I did have I'll just say flat out I had a really bad attitude. I went into it with like, I don't know. I don't like these shows. I want to do this. And I really kind of had one foot in and one foot out the door the first like 3 times I went down. And then I finally really hit me. It was like, it's nice. I mean, every time has been nice. So now just put both feet inside the door. Just do it. Either do it or don't do it. Don't put, have one foot out or one foot in. So once I did that, then it just became even nicer. The people I met, the other singers were they were just nice people. They were interesting people with interesting life stories. And just getting to know them and also just the challenge of doing it, they'd asked me that too. They said, well, yeah, I've played on a lot of huge stages with a lot of big artists and stuff, but mostly playing either, keyboards and singing back of them, or, if I was even the lead person I have my, you have your buddies around you, your band, your people around you, but to walk up on a television stage, cold with no, warm up, and you're just getting up, you just have to stand up there with nobody around you. You're just like, and, the band's like way back in the pit behind you. It's like, yeah, that was an interesting, it was for me a really interesting challenge. That was another thing that intrigued me about it. Was like, wow, I like to feel a little nervous, like, ooh, can I do this? That's interesting to me. I look for those kinds of challenges, and then I realize, oh, that's what this is. This is one of those challenges. Well, yeah, let's do it. And yeah, it was great. I really, really enjoyed myself a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. Devman was also asking about your experience there on the show. He's a big fan. Guillaume is tuning in from France. Theo from Groningen tuning in too.
Oh really? Okay. Representing Groningen, man. Yeah, baby.
That's great.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, so that was like a very recent adventure.
Yeah, it just wrapped up. I mean, we finished filming it in the summer, but then they just finished broadcasting it. What was that? A week ago Friday, I guess. God, time is just like so fluid in my brain. But yeah, it was yeah, very recently. It was October 8th. That was the last show. So yeah,
Okay.
it's been a real interest. It was so interesting to do it, and then once they broadcast it to see the reactions, it was, yeah, of course, that was really fantastic. And so many really great, amazing reactions from people that, yeah, very flattering and humbling, and just, yeah, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
that's what I mean.
everyone,
But
check it
what
out. Check the videos out.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's what we do music for, you know. Not to say not you're not doing music, for the reactions, but you are doing music for the connection to people. I've often said that too. Is like, someone complimenting you about your technical prowess, or how, wow, you're really, or how skilled you are. Man, are you really super skilled? It's like, that's a nice compliment, but I mean, for me, the most profound compliment someone gives you is like, what you did just really touched me. I felt this in such a deep way. It's like, and that's what you do it for. I mean, to me, that's it. That's the reward. It doesn't get any better than that. And it's like, that's what I live for. To have gotten a lot of those kinds of responses. Yeah. I mean, this is priceless. It's just really priceless.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful to have that kind of experience. Like, well, like, yeah, not too many concerts are happening.
Yeah. Well, you also have to have, I'll often say that too, all the bad gigs you do, all the horrible gigs that really, aren't great. You have to have all those experiences, because that's what makes the great ones even greater,
Yeah.
because they contrast so much from all those other ones. Well, that's also, I guess, in general in life, right? If everything went perfect all the time, it wouldn't be interesting when it went perfect,
Can you
you
tell us
know?
about your worst gig?
Um, yeah, wow, that's a difficult. There's so many to choose from. But the thing, okay, well, this is something I will say about that, because, okay, when I first moved to LA, um, the first gigs I really did there was what they called casuals. And casuals are basically playing for parties or weddings or bar mitzvahs, all that kind of stuff, which, is really kind of very not glamorous sounding kind of work. But I got hooked up with an agency through a really great friend of mine, Charles Frictel, who also got me in Michael McDonald's band, by the way. And doing those gigs, you just you had to do, it was just learning how to like get through playing a ton of kinds of, all kinds of different kinds of music. And and some of them were definitely terrible. You play some really terrible gigs, but it's like, it was such a learning experience, also because you had to think on your feet a lot, because you'd show up and, different singers would show. I mean, that's the thing, you would just get called and you'd show up okay, you're playing at this building somewhere, there's a wedding or a party, and you show up, and a lot of times you'd be like, oh, a bunch of people I've never played with before.
Yeah.
How's this going to go? And, with charts, and like I always said, actually, I think one of the best things that ever happened to me was like singers with terrible charts. I know that sounds weird to say, but what's weird, what's great about it is that the singers with terrible charts, that you have to follow, you have to use your ears, and that's the thing. I often, yeah, okay, one of my many little pet peeves about academic music education is I just don't think you do enough things. I don't think they do enough things to like develop those kind of ear skills. I mean, just like, doing normal kind of ear trainings, things, it's like, that's okay. But
Yeah.
like being on a bandstand and the singer suddenly goes off in a completely different direction than the chart, but the fact that you got to be there,
Or
because if you're
whatever,
not
just
there,
like starts out singing
yeah,
in another key and
yeah, exactly. Then go to that key.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, but that's great training. You know what I mean? It was like, that was actually great, that it was like, yeah, they had these terrible charts and they were just like all over the place, and they just sang the verse twice. Okay, great. Then play the verse, instead of like going, oh, hey man, you were wrong. It's like, no, 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 no. It's their gig. So they're not
Yeah, that's
wrong.
like the stuff
You're
you can
wrong.
only learn in real life.
Exactly. And it's a little bit of a shame that, I think, the amount of live gigs that there, compared to the back in the day, I was
Oh
gonna
yeah.
say, there was so many live. I mean, there really was just a ton of places that you could play, especially club scenes. There was so many clubs that had music almost every night. Really hard to find a club like that now, that has music every night.
Yeah.
It's just not really. sustainable anymore. And it's a shame because that's to me where you learn your craft is I truly, I believe you learn it on the stage more than anywhere else. There's just, of course you need to practice and blah, 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 but it's like you learn what works and what's you, the things that are really you on stage. And, that's the other thing I often had this conversation about, like all the great jazz greats, from back in the 30s, 40s and 50s, even in the 60s. That's where they learned to do what they do, because there actually wasn't even like there wasn't an educational system to learn jazz in back in those days. You learned it by just gigging, hanging out, listening, copying. Yeah, you bought some records too, and you copied some stuff, but there was no university system for learning jazz.
Yeah.
That's what you did, and in a lot of ways, like that's why some of those musicians listen to those, you listen to their playing. That's why it hasn't lost an ounce of of being still really valid and really timely. It's like it's still very present because it's like what they were doing was so in the moment, and it was so organic, it was just so really organic how they developed it. And it's like, that's why we still listen to them. And yet we teach it in a very academic way, in a very kind of dry academic way. When they learned it, the way they learned it was this super organic way. So why don't we just try to duplicate the way they did it, Anyway, that's my.
Yeah, thinking about that, like visiting some jam sessions here in Hamburg back when they were still like happening.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
There was like a fantastic pop music session. And there's also like a great jazz session, obviously. But yeah, like talking about like the academic kind of way of learning jazz.
Yeah.
I felt like when I went to that jazz session, I mean, it was weird. Like they didn't really know like how to end a song. Like it felt kind of awkward, actually.
Yes.
And I mean,
exactly.
if you go to the pop session, everybody knows how to end a song. It's like very clear.
Yeah.
And
yeah, exactly.
at the jazz session, they're fantastic musicians, and they're going to school and studying like crazy. Yeah. But at the same time, you get that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, instincts you have to learn basically just from the actual live playing and being on a bandstand. Yeah. Also, jam sessions even too. It can happen there as well. But it's exercising that muscle, and that muscle is your ears, is hearing things. I mean, I'll always say that as well too. Like playing with amazing ear players is the most like incredible musical experience to me. It's like you've been in that situation too, where it's like people that's like everyone just is listening, and like any change that happens in the music, everyone's there, and it's like that's just like you're on this like incredible ride, you're riding this amazing wave, and it's like to me that I live for that kind of stuff. I mean, to me it's like, and it's unfortunate to me in a way that's not considered, that's not a thing that that's emphasized, and I think in most academic education. I know there's some exceptions to that, but I think generally speaking, it's not really considered it's just it's because it's hard. You can't teach it really, but you can create an environment for people to learn it in.
Yeah.
But it's easier to teach. Well, let's just teach all this nuts and bolts stuff that's really clear. We can write it down on a page, because a lot of that stuff, what we're talking about, you can't write it on a page. It's stuff you just have to experience it, and you got to get it into your bones. And then once you do, once you get into your bones, now you're going to spend the rest of your life learning how to do it better, right?
Yeah.
So I mean that's it too. And then the better you get at it. I was just talking about this tonight with someone, that the bigger your knowledge field becomes, the more you realize that's beyond what you know. That's why I always thought it was always interested to me about how like a lot of my heroes, when they would, a lot of so many the really, really, truly greats, when they interview them, are so humble. But that's why, because they are phenomenally good, but they also see how much more there is that they haven't touched yet.
Yeah.
and that's how it is, right? Yeah, you know that. But it's great. But that's what's
Definitely.
great about it too. I mean, that's what's amazing about it. It's like, yeah, you can never exhaust it. That's freaking cool. It would be horrible if it was like, yeah, well, I just got all of it down. So, well, I'm moving on to astrophysics now. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
true.
Anyway,
Well, I love talking about all that stuff, but we got to talk
yeah.
some harmonica too.
Oh
Raymond
yeah,
is asking about
harmonicas.
your harmonicas.
All right, someone's asking about my harmonicas.
Yeah, and
Okay,
I mean, you started
all
out
right.
playing harmonica at the age of 15, is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. Yes.
And did you play piano before already?
No, that was no, it was my first instrument. It was the
Okay.
very first instrument. Yeah, and that was blues harmonica. As I started out on blue and just listening and just like devouring every blues record I could get my hands on. Yeah.
Wow. So what made you like change to the chromatic?
Well, so the thing I have to give a big hat tip to my older brother, who was my older brother Bert Olstead, who was a very great blues guitar player, and he was a professional musician playing in Seattle at the time. And and it was funny. We had this conversation recently because he's like 9 years older than me, and I was realizing that it's a good thing that musicians often have to move back home, because they're not making enough money. And I realized that when I was 15, he was back living home. And I guess he was like 24 then. And I said, that's how great that was that, things were kind of going bad for you at that moment. You had to move back home because he played harmonica also.
Okay.
So he was on the side, he played harmonica. So it was his harmonicas that were laying around and that I picked up. And then I started listening to these. I saw some blues records he had. And then my oldest brother found out I was doing it. And he was a huge blues fan, and he started bringing me albums in to listen to. And so I was great because they really made an effort to help me along. But then I just was devouring everything. I started with Little Walter, of course, then just all the Chicago blues guys, and just went nuts with that. And then at a certain point, so I should back up. Before that, before I could play anything, I was a huge Stevie Wonder fan. I just became like fanatically Stevie Wonder fan. And when I started playing harmonica, I kind of went off on this little side path for a while where I don't think I listened to him that much, but I was only listening to blues. And then then my brother also had a chromatic harmonica. He bought one, I guess, just because he was curious about it. And so it was sitting there, and I don't remember the moment. I just know that at some point I picked it up and I was listening to Stevie Wonder again. And I was like, wow, he's playing the harmonica, but it's definitely different than the one I'm playing.
Okay.
And I guess I picked it up and started picking out a couple of notes here and there that I could play that he was doing. And that was the thing, he played a lot of stuff that was just very melodic and simple and deceptively simple, right? That's the thing with Stevie.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
was like
it
checking out
sound.
some of the recent stuff, and there's a song with Busta
Say
Rhymes,
it
and
again.
there's
Sorry.
like a song with the new song with Elton John.
Okay. Okay. I haven't heard those, but with Stevie, yeah, I mean, you can get the notes, some of the notes of his thing in what he's playing pretty quick because they're rather simple. But what really struck me right away, which was really powerful, was just I went, man, there's so many layers in those notes that I knew at that moment I'm not getting any of those layers. I'm playing the notes, I'm playing the rhythm of those notes,
Yeah.
and it sounds okay, but it sounds like God when he's doing it. So man, I mean, how can I how can I get close? That was it. That was for me, it was really a great kind of epiphany, was to like, I want to get closer to that. But what I'm hearing, I'm thankful that somehow I recognize that there was something more than just the notes. It was like, Jesus, there's so much information in there. And I mean, I didn't think of it that way. I just knew there's just so much in there that I'm not getting, and I want to get that thing. And that's basically kind of what pushed me forward with that. But the thing was, I started working as a keyboard player singer because that's where you could get, you could actually make a living at music,
Yeah.
was playing in top 40 bands. And so when I moved to LA, I always had harmonica was kind of like this thing I just pulled up just to play on the side. You know, it was okay. Here's the harmonica solo on one song and the whole whole night, something like that. I never really did. I never. It's a funny thing becoming kind of this known as a harmonica player was not an intention of mine. I didn't go out going like I'm going to become one of the great. It's like no, I just played it and it just so happened that at a certain point in LA, after I had already been doing like all these casuals as a keyboard player singer, that but I would play the harmonica once in a while. But someone had some session, a recording session for a record, and they'd heard me play, and they said, "Man, we heard this guy playing chromatic, and he sounds kind of like Stevie." And I played on this. It was this, not a well-known artist, but he was on a big label. So I got that session and kind of by a small trickle, it just kind of went up from there and then hit a certain point of kind of what you would call critical mass, where now all of a sudden I was kind of in the scene and producers knew who I was. But not by intention. It was kind of a funny
Yeah.
thing. I kind of felt like, okay, God, I guess I better take this more serious, you know, because yeah, they're expecting me to really deliver here. Geez. Okay. But
Yeah,
yeah.
of course. And
So yeah,
then, like,
that's how
every
that all,
single time they hear some harmonica playing, they suppose that you can play it. And you gotta
yeah.
tell everyone, oh, yeah, I can do that. Even though
Yeah.
maybe there's something like.
No, exactly. No, I mean, for me, actually, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's a big part of your musical growth also is just being engaged with it in a way that you surprise yourself. You know, those are another one of those things that I think are the great moments are when you just get so, I don't know, lost in your own process that you surprise yourself. You come up with something that you didn't realize you had inside of you, right? Those are the super moments where you're just like, wow, what did I just play there? You know, when you listen back to something, you go like,
Yeah.
that was, oh, it's not that it was like, oh wow, what was that amazing? Like it's like, no, how did I get that one little phrase? Wow, that was really beautiful. Oh, cool, nice. And that's yeah, those are the things that really make it beautiful. And I guess yeah, I would so talking to the harmonica players out there, um, because I consider myself a little bit of an oddity in the harmonica community because I'm not a virtuoso by any stretch of the imagination because there are so many incredible virtuosos in the community, right? I mean, you're one of them, and there's some, all these guys that are just play things that are just almost, I mean, impossible. But I've never been that. So my focus has always been, it's is playing it kind of like it's the human voice. I mean, really, for me, the harmonica, I look at it, yeah, it's the same place that I form the things I sing. That part of my brain also forms what I play on the harmonica.
Yeah.
And so they tend to be kind of vocal lines more than, I mean, yeah, there's some also I do play some jazz lines here and there too, but they also tend to be more vocally expressed than just, as a lick. Here's a lick. It's like, no, it's a vocal phrase. Yeah, I conceptualize it that way, and I think that's maybe what kind of made me stand out in a way from other harmonica players and got me noticed, I guess, by some of those people that had asked me to record for them.
Yeah. Um, Tell a bit about your harmonicas. Yeah, like which kind of instruments did you start out on, and what are you playing now?
All right, so this is the part that's going to get this will be a really fast section because we talked about this for the harmonica nerds out there, and God bless all of you. I'm one of you, but I'm so not involved in like I know so many of my harmonica player friends in the community are so great at like customizing their stuff themselves, and I never did any of that. So but anyway, just to kind of go through a little, I started on just marine bands on blues harmonica, and then just the 64 chromonica was the thing because that, yeah, basically was what my brother had. And also I saw that Stevie played that a lot. He played some other ones too. So that was basically my go-tos, I think, for quite a while. And then I moved on to, I think, the 64X was when I started doing harmonica sessions. That one ended up kind of being my go-to for quite a while. and I started playing big rivers, I think, at a certain point.
Okay.
But just because they were loud, they're kind of loud harmonicas. But I still like big rivers for whatever reason. And then eventually but in the last, I guess probably I would say 10 years, or more than that, 12 years ago was probably when I started on the CX 12 Jazz.
Yeah.
That was because they actually had Hohner asked me to come to the Music Messe to demo that CX12 Jazz. And I remember when the CX12s first came out, because they're, it's a plastic comb, not a comb, but I mean the plastic shell, and that it disassembled. I went, God, it looks like a freaking toy. I was like, who would play that thing? But so I never even tried one. And then they came up with that. And I do like the modification of the Jazz, the mouthpiece especially. I think it's a lot more comfortable to play. And so when I played that, it just was like, love at first, whatever, at first click. And I just, since then, that's been absolutely my go-to harmonica on really all of my sessions. I just use it for everything. For my sound. I mean, the way I like to play, for the sound I want to get, for that kind of vocal-like quality that I'm trying to get out of a harmonica, for me, the CX12 makes it really possible for me to get that.
Yeah.
But, of course, it is super personal, I mean, and I totally get, when another harmonica player, like, I don't know if you ever, when you're sitting with your harmonica pals and they go like, hey, look at, like this friend of mine, he had a Seidel, and one of their, I think it's called the Symphony. And it's like, it's a really beautifully made harmonica. I looked at it and it's just like, Jesus, it just looks like almost like a piece of art. But for me, at least for my playing, I as soon as I played it, I just went, well, yeah, no, this would never work for me.
Yeah.
I mean, but for him, he loved it, and it worked great for him. And I know it's definitely a good instrument, a great instrument, I think, probably. But yeah, for me, the CX12 is absolutely the thing. And then the next progression for me on the blues harp was the cross harps. What are they? Crossover? No, crossover. Yeah, which, Joe Falisco helped them develop that. And yeah, I think those are, they're beautiful harmonicas. I think they just play beautifully. And for me, I can do what I want to do on those. So, I mean, I don't need to do, of course, I only need to do, mortal things, not what you like, you harmonica, what do you call that? Extreme sport guys like you on harmonica, on the diatonic harmonica.
Yeah, I wish I knew I could.
You'd say you're a protege of Howard, aren't you? Wouldn't you say you're a protege of Howard Levy? Yeah.
I mean, I still like doing my studies here in Hamburg, like the master program. I actually got lessons with Howard online.
Okay, cool. Because I know he thinks a lot of you. I think he thinks highly of you.
But I wish I knew how to set up chromatic harmonicas.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean,
because
actually,
I do have two of them, and I do have the CX12 Jazz.
Okay.
And I like to play it.
I don't set them up either, but Gerard, at Hohner, he always sets up my harmonicas for me.
Okay.
Again, I'm this guy that doesn't actually get into their.
I think I just lost a valve.
Okay.
So
that can happen. All right, that can happen.
Yeah, I love playing this, and I think I told this story before, but it was still funny. Like at some point, I played like a Christmas kind of show, like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And we had like 6 or 7 shows in December, and we also played Isn't She Lovely? And of course, they wanted me to sound like Stevie Wonder, and I had to play the chromatic, so I played my CX12. But after that, I also was supposed to solo, and I obviously feel way more comfortable soloing on the diatonic.
Yeah, of course.
So what I did was I started out playing the melody on the chromatic, and then I just let the chromatic, like the CX12, fall down to the ground and play the diatonic for the solo.
Yeah,
one show, the complete the CX12 fell apart on the ground.
Oh god, okay.
And everybody in the band was worried about the harmonica, and I was like, no, it's fine. It's a CX12.
That thing will take a lot of punishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still plays great.
Yeah, no, they're pretty. I've definitely dropped mine plenty of times, and I don't think it's ever. Yeah, there's maybe one time I really took a too big a fall, and it cracked the comb. I think that happened like once, but man, I've dropped them so many times. Yeah, they're pretty durable instruments, so that's in their
Yeah.
yeah, in their favor. That's something I could say.
And I told you
Yeah,
that I just like taught Pastime Paradise to a student of mine today.
yeah,
I also played
okay,
it on
yeah.
chromatic. Yeah.
Wow, you're starting to, step on some toes here, guy. You start to get into us chromatic group players world. It's like,
I can't do
watch
it.
out,
At
man.
some point, I actually like sat down. There was like just like, I started out playing chromatic just because I wanted to play blues in D minor.
Right. Oh, yeah, right.
But at some point, like listening to a lot of Dennis Gruening, I still like wanted to like at least learn all the major scales.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. Like during one vacation in Italy, like with my family, everybody was outside swimming in the pool and stuff, and I was
Yeah.
like sitting in my room and just like practicing the scales, seeing like
Really?
no daylight at all.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, that was it with the chromatic.
Well, I have to say, if talking about practicing, I'm terrible about practicing. I can actually, in a lot of ways, I can consider myself kind of like Rain Man on the harmonica. It's just that because I'm really it's just what I'm basically teaching myself every time I do, not I shouldn't say every time, but especially when I'm doing solos for people's records and they send me something. And then I'm always trying to find something that I haven't done before. I'm trying to find some new things. So I literally feel like I'm teaching myself what I'm going to play, and I have to learn it, you know? So it's not like, okay, it's G minor and okay, cool. It's like, no, I'm trying to find something that's floating in the air,
Yeah.
and then I got to teach it to myself. And that's for me what it's always been more about that. And because I know when I'm playing too much, like, oh, I'm playing the scale that works over all those things, then I'm just like going, this is just boring. It doesn't interest me. But when there's like, ooh, there's a beautiful line that I captured and I managed to pull down and make, so in a lot of ways, that's also why, yeah, my technical level is just what I need for what I do, and I think that's in general true for all musicians. It's like everyone has a different technical need,
Yeah.
and everyone has a different technical aptitude. I mean, there's just some people that just right away can play just really complex things. It's just easy for them. And for other people, there isn't. And one isn't better than the other. They're both equal. I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, this is one of my favorite catchphrases I use now, is that, music is the art of turning feeling into music, feeling into sound. That's your job. So whether you do it with a lot of technique or with almost no technique, doesn't matter. If you do that, then it's great. It doesn't matter. And if you don't, it doesn't matter how incredibly great it was technically. It's just like it has to be that, So yeah, that's something I try to, like, also when I'm teaching as well, try to remind students of that. Be really aware of, like, what are your technical needs, and don't, it's so easy to look across at someone else and go, wow, I wish I did what they do. It's like, no, just be you, find what's you, find the thing that you do, and find what your technical needs are and what your musical needs are, and just take those things and develop them is to the highest level you can, and just expressively, again, make people feel something. Don't
Yeah.
make them go, wow, that was really cool, man. Wow, you really shred, no. It's like, you want them to go like, wow, man, that just really touched me. That's, yeah. Can't do better than that. So anyway,
True.
any more questions?
Well, everybody wants us to play something, as always.
Oh, do they? All right. I'm going to have a little drink of Ripasso. I'm drinking Ripasso over here. It's a very beautiful Italian wine.
I'm drinking tea.
Oh, I've heard good things about it. So, well, how does that work? You mean with a backing track, or just what?
I mean, very often we just like played some choruses over blues, like back and forth. But
Really?
if
Okay.
you just like have a song in mind that you only want to play, I mean, everybody's happy about that too.
All right. All right. Can I play blues harmonica?
Oh yeah, of course. And I could play chromatic,
That would be great. Okay.
but
All
don't
right.
pick a weird key.
All right. So let's do D flat. No, I'm kidding. Let's. What about G's? Nice. Yeah. G's a friendly key.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna do a little blues and G, just like a cappella, so to speak, just two harmonicas. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. This isn't awkward. Let's see. I tell you what. You know what? I'll kind of lay down like just kind of a rhythm piece. You start off with this kind of like soloing thing, but I'm gonna lay down
Oh yeah, I think
the
we got to
groove.
trade courses. It's like a lot. We can't do like stuff at the same time.
Okay, we'll do that. Cool. So let's see. Let's go like something like this. Hmm. Now switch. You switch to blues, and I'll switch to chromatic.
Oh no.
Nice.
I hope that
I
sounded
love
okay.
that. I hope we didn't break any speakers. That would be optimum. Anyway. Okay.
Yeah, that was a nice idea.
That was fun. That was nice. Cool. All right. So,
So what are you up to next?
well, oh man, I'm up to no good. I can tell you that right now. I'm recording some tracks. Actually, I just finished a track I'm gonna make a video for. It's actually a cover. It's going to be a surprise, so I'm not going to say it's a cover of a very famous '80s pop song in
Okay.
a in the Dutch say in a nieuwe jas. You know what that
Mm-hmm.
means, right?
Yeah. In an
So,
annoying jacke.
there you go. Whatever you just said, I loved it. Um, so yeah, and I'm we finished recording it. I'm gonna make a new video, and I'm just working on a lot of new recordings. That's my main focus right now is just getting some new music recorded. And oh yeah, also I should say, yeah, I can say this. I'm also working on a track, a cover of a really great, amazing jazz composition by, of course, someone I think most people know in the music world is Jaco Pastorius. So he has a song called Three Views of a Secret,
Oh
and
yeah.
so I've always wanted to do a cover of it for many years, and I've started a couple times to do it. I mean, it's just like this incredibly, broad, deep composition that has so much to it, and to find the right approach, I was really struggling with it for, I just never kind of found the right approach. And but I hooked up with a great arranger producer in Italy, a guy named Maurizio Metalli, and I did some work on a track of his, and I was so knocked out by what he did. I said, man, I think this is the guy who should do this track with me. And so we connected and started producing. And I had a concept basically of how what I wanted it to be, and I kind of threw that at him, and he took that as the kind of the germ, and then he started to build on that, and he made his own arrangement around that. And then I invited some great musicians to come in. Jimmy Haslip from the Yellow Jackets plays bass on it, who I know from a band I was in that he produced in LA called Shapes. And Vinny Colaiuta, pretty good drummer, is playing drums on it. Guitar player, from a guy friend of mine who I've known for years. He was also one of the most phenomenal guitar players anywhere. Is Alan Hines is playing guitar on it. Uh, Louis Contier is playing percussion, who's also one of the percussion legends, and also Phil Lassiter, who's a horn arranger, horn player. He was the last horn arranger for Prince for the New Power generation. So he was
Okay.
so he does the horn parts. So not a bad group of guys, you know.
Sounds
You could do
fantastic.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but really worked hard on that one, and that one's now just kind of coming down coming down the finishing lap. So it's almost done. And so yeah, that's coming out in the next, well, I'll say the next month or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's basically what's happening now.
Fantastic. For everyone out there,
Yeah.
check out the description box. I linked all of your social media websites and everything there. Your Spotify, things like that. You can still check out the voice performances on YouTube. And we're going to have another challenge coming up later this month. Last Sunday this month, it's going to be October 31st with Babak Safarnejad, great harmonica player from Iran. We're going to do a film music challenge. I'm
Cool.
going to record an announcement video tomorrow. And we got to think about a future upcoming topic for November, maybe. I was thinking about a Stevie Wonder challenge. What do you think about that?
I like it. I like the Stevie Wonder challenge.
It would be a great
Definitely.
opportunity to open it up for chromatic players even more.
Definitely. Here's a little trivia thing about, because you talked about Isn't She Lovely? There's actually if you listen really closely on the out, like there's that long solo he does at the end. There's actually he plays a bad note in that. It's like it's really low, but if you're really listening close, there's one part where he just plays like a note that's like just like
On the
it's
original
like
recording.
Yeah,
Okay.
on original recording, and you can tell. I mean, back then the technology, now it's so easy just to clip out something like that. But I think they took the fader and kind of ducked it down, but you
Okay.
can still hear it. You can hear it that it's in there. And but I mean that's his outro solo is just, to me, is so phenomenal. It's just, yeah, the phrasing, the tone, the soul. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's
That's what the
crazy.
challenge is gonna be about. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, again, it's not notes that are it's not like complicated technically to play. Yeah, you can learn those notes, but to get that kind of, that level of expressiveness, basically, what it is. It's like just being that deeply expressive, and that to me is what was really inspiring about him. Why he's my biggest influence, even though there's Toots also, but there's also even like saxophone players that influenced me and other instruments. But yeah, that to me is like, that's what's so incredible about him to this day. I've told stories about harmonica sessions I've done on my Facebook page, and there was one. There's been a couple of times I got to fill in for him on recording sessions where he wasn't able to
Right.
make it, and and I was the second one. No, the first one was with In Sync, and where I flew out to New York actually to do it, and he showed up last minute and was there to do it, and just listen. It was like the simplest melody, and it's like this da 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 da, and just the way he hits that last note, and I can't even explain it, but it's just like the timing of where he hit it.
Yeah.
It was so soulful, and I was like, it was like, it just like, it really just killed me. It's like, it's the tone, it's the timing. It's just, there's like all these little, layers. We talked about this. It's just layers in it. And it was like, I went, yeah, that's the thing, man. That's it. It's like capturing those kinds of things is what makes music magical, to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe some of you out there can achieve this in the challenge. Maybe we can
Yeah, there you go.
get out like a CX12 Jazz for the winner or something.
There you go.
That would be crazy.
Gerhard, are you listening, Gerhard? He's like, no, don't give away any more stuff. No, I'm sure that's a great idea. Actually, it would be cool.
Yeah. So I'll keep you updated. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Tollak, for taking the time. There was
It
a
was a
lot of
pleasure.
fun. I think we could have talked for another hour or so.
Indeed. Yeah.
And yeah, I hope to see you again very soon in person. Maybe in Groningen.
Yeah. I hope. Well, yeah, man, come on over and we'll, yeah, we zal in Nederlands praten.
Yeah, I got to refresh my Dutch. That's
Yeah.
true.
Well, yeah, you come over, we'll get some bitterballen, and, we'll speak Dutch for a while. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. See you on October 31st. The next Hohner Live, we have a fantastic guest coming up from the US. He's a harmonica player, but he's known for his pictures. He's a photographer. Danny Clinch. Fantastic guest.
Cool.
So
I'm curious.
that's going to be episode 57. Have a great evening or good day wherever you are. Bye-bye.
See y'all.